Well, hello.
Hey,
William.
hello, William. I can see we've got nine in the chat, which is that's a great start. Thank you very much, guys, for coming along and joining us on a Wednesday evening here at Simply Spooky. And what a show we've got for you this evening. We have got the lovely Karin Bessant. Does lots of things right around the West Country. She does. Well, I'm not going to tell you too much because most of you probably know Karin anyway. If you don't, you'll get to know her through this program. But she's eclectic. She's involved with lots of different different arms of the paranormal, and some of the things that she's involved with, all around the West Country. Things like Jamacia Inn. You've also got Bob in jail, just to name a couple of them. So good evening, everybody, and welcome, and thanks very much for joining us this evening. I already said that. I'm so sorry about the light above me. I'm going to get rid of that light because it looks like makes me every time I look at that, it makes me feel like I'm living in a squat. So get rid of that. It's an awful bloody light. So I'm going to get rid of that as soon as I can. So just forget the light above me and just concentrate on the light because it's better looking. But yes, so hello, Karin. How are you this evening?
I'm very well, thank you.
Thank you
Looking
so much.
very fat, I think, on the screen.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Do you know what? I'm really excited to have Karin on because I know what she does. And this woman right here, absolutely amazing. She'll say she's not educated. She does this because she has a
First
passion.
one, Wayne.
But honestly, she is a plethora of information. And talk about history. Oh, my God. You want to know anything? Speak to this lady. She's amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
Honestly.
Especially West Country because she's a plethora of knowledge about the West Country and the hauntings and the paranormal activity around there. So, yeah. So let's get into it. How are you, Karin? You're very good, you're saying? You're very good? Everything going good for you?
Yes, very
Excellent.
good. Just cooked the two men of the household a spag bol to keep them quiet.
You know,
Uh-oh.
Hi, Gary.
Gary.
She's frozen. There she is.
You're back,
She's back again.
You went off. You went missing. You froze there for a minute.
Ghosts
in the machine.
Yes.
So what should we start talking about? Let's start talking about, I think probably one of the things that you're most well known for is the Jamacia Inn.
Let's do it.
So let's talk about the Jamacia Inn. Can you give us any information about or the type of thing that you do at the Jamacia Inn? Because I know you're very much involved with it.
Oh, I think obsessed is a correct terminology. And when it was sold a year and a half ago to the Coaching Group, the poor CEO, I think he's got a restraining order out on me. No, it's just that, you go to a location, we've always been there, and you fall in love with it. And if someone had told me 16 years ago that I would be involved with it, I would have never believed them anyway. And for 9 years now, I have been part of the Jamacia Inn paranormal team. And I found my research. Like I say, I'm very amateur, but sometimes you come across some lucky tidbits. And, it's the oral history. People forget to talk to those that lived there or worked there, because if you don't write down their stories, it's lost in time.
Yeah.
And over the years, the history has evolved and evolved, and it's just a fascinating place. Even just the other week, something new came up. So now, who built it as a farm, and because probably to do with smuggling, that he turned it into an inn. And I always wanted to know who was the local vicar of Altrincham. That was the parish church. And I found out, thanks to Richard Blewett from Pengenna, bless his soul, that the vicar, when they were there, was a man called James Benito, an Italian. And he was also chaplain to the Prince of Wales, the future George IV. Wow. Why would he be in a tiny little hamlet? Is the Jamacia Inn book true that he was involved with smuggling? Because where would you hide smuggled goods? In plain sight, the church. But we can't prove it. So did
Wow.
Daphne du Maurier know more than she let on when she wrote Jamaica Inn?
Ooh.
You're right. I think there was
Ooh.
particularly around that time, sort of 17th, 18th century, there was a lot of skullduggery with the church going on, wasn't there? And a lot of the
Yeah.
local priests or vicars were heavily involved in a lot of the smuggling and a lot of the theft and the wreckers as well, particularly around Cornwall. You know, which is money to be made. So
And
it's interesting.
but also there's this wonderful story, and pardon me, I've forgotten the name of this man. He was on, in off the Thames, they had those big hulks as prison ships,
Mm.
and the condition, a lot of them died of disease, etc. But because this young chap, who was only in his early 20s, was of very good character, behaved himself, they transferred him to Bodmin jail for the rest of his sentence. He was supposed to have been transported, but good behavior, fine. He was there for a day. He escaped Bodmin jail, went to a local stables, nicked a horse,
Wow.
rode up the Launceston Road to the Jamaica Inn, went round the back, opened up a window, nicked a watch and some cutlery from the Jamaica Inn. This was 1821. And then went to the farmer who he'd stolen stuff from before, got drunk in his field, arrested. A few months later, he was hung at Bodmin jail. What a story!
Wow.
Wow.
So, and that's just one of many.
Just
I would imagine.
one tiny story.
One of many. It'd
Yeah.
be quite interesting to think about the amount of people that
Few
actually went
months.
through that jail.
Mm.
You know, the stories that they could tell, their lives.
And the lovely thing, Gemma, who's part of the Jamaica Inn team, is also part of Bodmin Paranormal team. So we have this wonderful connection, and Joe, who is the paranormal manager, has the same sort of values as the rest of us about history, catalogue, normal reports, data. And we're coming together and promoting each other's venues and doing things together as it should be, working together to promote heritage in Cornwall.
I think it's important.
So I get all passionate.
I think it's important that it's catalogued and it's kept, because, as you said, if we don't do that, a lot of the data that you do get and for the future gets lost. I mean, somebody needs to be doing it and keeping it and giving it back to the venue, and it should be handed down with the venue, and we should keep talking about it. So, Karen, thank you for doing that. You're keeping history, not just the paranormal, but history alive and our roots alive.
There are so many unsung people around the country who do exactly the same.
Yeah.
Just don't.
It's important.
Shepton Mallet. She is walking, talking Shepton Mallet prison. And I was lucky enough to do some filming with her just last Monday, and to get her in front of the camera so she could shine with her incredible knowledge of the history of Shepton Mallet.
Wow.
Yeah. We went to Shepton Mallet, didn't we, Dan? And
we did.
It was, while we was there, we did get the opportunity to meet her. We got something through a very strange piece of equipment that we were using. I'm not going to mention it. And we took that information to her because we couldn't decipher it, because we thought it was very strange. But she came up with the good. She went through all the records that she had.
She did,
and we were blown away, not just by the history that we stumbled across, that was forgotten about, but we also proved that this piece of equipment that everyone poo-poos actually worked for us that night. It was a big coup for me and Dan, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's a really important aspect to what you do, Karen. And you say other people do it as well, but you do it. You do it for a lot of the places in the West Country. I think it's really important, particularly places like that, because over the years, through the centuries, I mean, if you think about families that lived in villages, families that lived in towns and places like that, the families lived in and existed in villages for hundreds and hundreds of years. Same families. You go into a cemetery, same with my family in Dorset. You go into a cemetery there and you see winters going back to the sort of 1400s. And the thing is that eventually those families move away. During the Victorian period, with the advent of the railway and stuff, people moved away. They moved into cities and towns, particularly up north. They moved into industrial areas where the Industrial Revolution took hold. And what happens was they then became displaced. So a lot of that history, a lot of that folklore, and a lot of the truth went with those families. So we need people now today that may not have heritage in those areas, but are as passionate about that history, because it's, as Viv says, it's our history and we need to keep it alive.
Yeah,
and so it's really important to do what you do.
It's not about being educated. If you have a passion for something, you can do anything. I can see the lovely Beverly Turney from Ilfracombe is in the chat. This woman is amazing. She's a medium. She does what she calls documentation. She goes to so many places. Well, she'll write down the paranormal reports, what she picks up, and she's got this going back so many years.
Yeah.
And she does this all for nothing. She does events for nothing. She does a lot of charity work as well. And again, another unsung hero out in the paranormal field who doesn't want glory or anything like that. They just doing what they love. And sometimes I might look at the newspaper archives for her and do some little bits. But, you know, just like me, not an education as such, but my God, her passion is outstanding.
But I think a lot of academia, a lot of the academics rely on footwork that ordinary people do.
Yeah.
Because without those ordinary people having a passion, then there wouldn't be anything to reflect on. And it's like anything, isn't it? You lose your culture, then you've lost your history. And if you've lost that, you've lost your identity. So that is really important to keep it living.
This brings me quite neatly to what you've just done, Karen. You went and gave a talk at ASAP. I'm not saying
last
it
year.
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it is exciting because normally we get all the academics, but we've had our Karen up there giving them a talk, and they actually listened to you. Karen, how did you find that?
I'll talk to anyone. I'm a nightmare. You know, once I start, I never stop. But, you know, to stand on the podium and, you know, I'm very honest about, say, with my background. And I said, I'd like to thank these esteemed ladies and gentlemen for having me here. I said, unfortunately, I went to Hartcliffe School for Elite Young Ladies where we were taught to smoke and bunk off lessons. But I talked about heritage. And one thing I found astounding was the comments from some of these wonderful academics afterwards who said, I did not know this. So when you talk about, say, the Warmley Clock Tower in Bristol, which is a charity, it goes back to 1743, and it's for the use of the community. But they were struggling financially with the opening of Paranormal Hire. And I was speaking to the trustee today. They're doing more repairs. They are solvent. They have money in the bank.
Good.
And it's still doing what it's supposed to for the community. They have a great art centre on the top floor who still allow us to investigate. They don't have to do it, which is fabulous. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's many other small museums and institutions that need the help. And as long as they're told, you know, the good and the bad of Paranormal Hire, they're told to protect their history, their branding, and also venues should talk to each other if they've had a good team or a bad team, because it takes away the bias.
Yeah.
You know, and that way we can improve the field so we're not all thought of as irresponsible or ill-mannered youths, so to speak. Well, not that I'm a youth, but there you go.
William wants to know, what is ASAP, Dan? Can you?
They're a governing body of intellects that oversee sort of paranormal stuff, pretty much like the Ghost Club, but
what is it?
These guys are more
Association
for Psychical. Is it psychic? No, hang on.
I can never say it.
Association of Psychical I can't remember, and Paranormal. I can't remember.
And Spontaneous. something or other. But
Yeah,
they
yeah,
also
yeah.
do amazing training as well.
They do.
Because the thing is, we let paranormal investigators into our home, no idea who they people are, if they're DBS checked or anything. And, some teams fantastic, I'm not knocking everyone, but you do get the odd team where they'll say, oh, your autistic child's got a demon attached and
Yeah,
things like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
That shouldn't be
Yeah.
allowed,
No.
and we've all heard the stories.
Yeah.
So same as them, the SPR, which I always say are for the very intellectuals because they're clever, the Ghost Club, the grandfather of us all,
Yeah.
and then the UK Paranormal Society for their ethics, their heritage. So, we are spoiled, to be part of a fantastic club that we all love to be in.
It is good. It's not governing bodies, but they're
No,
sort of intellects that we can go and have a chat with, can't we? Pick information from
exactly.
them as and when we want, which is great.
Karen's brilliant, Sarah. Honestly, look at this. Look at this, Karen. I can listen to Sarah, look at Karen all night. She says,
She'll need Valium. Oh dear. But when I started in the field, as we say in Bristol, I was a twat. An
"No,
idiot.
you're not. You're
No,
not."
but you did, because you had no one to help and guide you. And then I met the likes of, as I said before, Kev Kerr and other investigators. And, I get people come to me now and I say, I'm not telling you what to believe, but look at spiritualism, look at skepticism, find what you believe. But these are the golden rules that we try to abide by. And it's just to help, to give something back.
Yeah.
Because aren't we lucky going into these wonderful locations to
We're
investigate?
very lucky. Very, very lucky.
Yeah, definitely. Eric, have you got any questions for Karen? You're sitting there quietly. What do you want to know? You're an American. You're coming over here soon. What do you know?
Yes, well, I'm going to be spending a lot of time over there. In fact, probably the rest of my life. So,
are you going to go to Jamaica Inn?
Oh yeah, I want to. I've heard about Jamaica Inn a long time ago, and I want to go there. The most thing I want to, how long can somebody? It's overnight. You can stay there, right? It's like
it's a 36-bed hotel now. So you have what we call the old block and the new extensions, but even the brand new extension that was built about 6 years ago, room 23, 34 have paranormal reports. How? When it's new.
Interesting, isn't it?
It is interesting.
That's what I was going to ask you,
well,
actually,
it's got to be
Tara.
the property,
Sorry, Eric, go on.
Well, I'm sorry. It's got to be the property, just the history around it.
The land it's on.
Yeah, I mean, it's built of quartz, so it's got quartz in the oh god, I forgot what the material is. But Richard Felix would always say that it's the stone tape theory. And same as we've noticed now, we're getting reports of new ghosts. So do old ghosts sort of run out of battery or juice, and then new ones come in? So like the Second World War airmen, Eric, and you think, why would that be connected? But your General Patton stayed for 3 days on the 22nd of June, 1944. And in his diary, he said about a woman's amazing legs at the bar.
Yeah, I believe that.
You've got to go and stay in his room, Eric, when you come.
Well, I plan on it. How long can somebody stay there? Is it like a set amount of days or?
It's a
You have
hotel.
money?
Sorry,
It's a
I could stay
hotel,
there a
yeah.
month if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's plenty of rooms with reports, and every couple of months, I'll tell you a good one that came about 2 months ago. A chap messaged me on the Jamaica Inn Paranormal page, and he said, I've got to tell you this story. It's many years ago. And the Jamaica Inn stands 915 feet above sea level. So you get a lot of these mists, etc. So when you come down from the A30 by Brown Willie, it looks as if it's on an island. It's really bizarre when you see it. So this lad was with his two friends in an old banger of a car. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. The headlights have stopped working. So he sat on the edge of the car window with a torch.
Wow.
And as they go up the hill, he can see the Jamaica Inn sign on the right. As he goes past, it's 3 in the morning, as I said, he sees a man in a long overcoat with a hat, very greyish, with a big collar. And he's looking at this lad sat on the window. And he said he was just grey. And the mist is twirling around. And he said, we're doing under 20 miles an hour because we could hardly see.
Yeah.
So as he go up to this man, this man is still staring at this lad. As he goes past, this man is still staring. And the lad with the torch is looking behind. And then he jumped back into the seat. And his friend said, did you just see that blink, blink, blink? He said, yeah, and he's disappeared into the fog. And he said, since then, he will never drive on the moors at night. What a wonderful story. But
Yeah.
that's oral history.
Yeah.
Oral
But you,
accounts.
you've got a lot of, you've got intelligent ghosts there as well, haven't you, in Jamaica, and interact with people, well, look at people as though they're actually looking directly at them and communicating with them.
So the one that fascinates me, because, you know, I've become quite skeptical over the years. So you have this one we call Jack. We don't know if this figure that's seen is him. You know, it's easy to put a label, but we try to be very honest. So 2018, I'm sat in the bar with Rachel, a wonderful paranormal investigator, Sabrina. Of course, I'm looking the wrong way. And she looks over. So where there's the big fireplace in the bar, there's a man sat in a modern chair with his elbow on a modern table like this. He has black curly hair, a black beard. He's dressed in late 1700s attire, you know, the high boots, the fluffy shirt, etc. And she said, she looked over, he's solid as anything, but she said it was the expression, half a smirk and half, what the hell are you doing? Because we were sat there going, hello, Jack, would you like to come and say hello? So if that was him, he's like, oh, God, they're off again. It's the humour. Because, you know, if you have humour in life, you have humour in death. It has to be.
Mm.
And, you know, how do we know it's not our relatives going with us to these locations?
Well,
and
yeah,
they're
you
the
don't.
ones winding us up.
Yeah,
If it's my family, yes, because they're idiots.
yeah, it's true. It's true.
So mine.
I want to ask a question, if it's all right, Karen, about Bobbin Jail.
Oh, amazing.
Since they've changed it, because they've got like a hotel there now, haven't they, type of thing.
Yes.
Has that, I don't know, because I've not been there since they changed it to a hotel. Has that interfered with the fabric of the building at all? Have they used any of the what were cells and stuff as rooms, or
Yeah.
is it something that's been added onto the side of the building?
So when I must admit, I investigated Bobbin lots of times. So when it was all changed, I thought, oh, I can't go back. You know, it's not going to be the same, because the old naval wing, they done a fantastic job, built it into part of the hotel. So each 3 cells make up 1 bedroom. It's very luxury rooms. And then at the ground floor, they have sort of like a exhibition, but they've opened up other areas. So though you might have lost, say, the chapel, which is a restaurant, and the old condemned cell, they have compensated, being my words.
Ghosts.
Yeah,
Might be.
they have compensated by opening up other areas. So in a couple of weeks, I'm going down with the Jamaica Inn team to have a private tour before, you know, we go to investigate with the guests of Bodmin and the Bodmin Paranormal team. And, you know, to do a little talk, to show the video from the Jamaica Inn. And, you know, it's such an honour to be asked and to help each other. And
So does that
I think
hotel,
it's fabulous.
does that impact upon people that are actually carrying out ghost hunts there?
No, because the ground floor is totally separate away from the hotel. The hotel is a separate entity to Bodmin Jail attraction.
Right.
But I have seen the Ogoloff that owns it. And you can tell he's the Ogoloff because when I saw him last summer, he was walking around in shorts. And when you've got someone who's a billionaire, they walk like this, you know.
Yeah. It's purposeful, isn't it?
Yeah, it's yes. But I have to give him his due. Was it 32 million they spent?
Oh, wow.
So now it's preserved for how many more years now? Another couple of centuries?
Yeah. It's good. They're giving another breathe new life into it, which is great.
Yeah.
Can I just say, Dan, do you know that Karin actually films, and she does a lot of filming, not just for, she does a lot of filming everywhere, but she did filming for the tourism in and around those areas, and for Bodmin and for Jamacia Inn, that they asked her to come in and do it with the tourist office. So she's in demand, you know, Dan. She knows a lot.
Totally in demand.
Very in demand. I know she did some filming recently, or you're doing some filming recently for a new client. Can you say anything about what's going on?
This is amazing. So, you know, I work for an accountant, and our clients are in the entertainment business, well-known people, a lot of production companies. So my ears always to the ground. They know what I do, and they, you know, might ring this very large production company and say, "Seen any ghosts, Karen?" No, the little rascals. So we have fun. And one of our clients, he's a fabulous filmmaker called John Shackleton, and there's a program on Channel 5 started last week all about Somerset. And he was involved with that as well, you know, and because I'm the paranormal consultant for Visit Somerset, I've been doing that for a few years. We're getting off what we call the Somerset Paranormal Trail. So when people come to visit, like the Americans who love our history, our heritage, and our haunted places, there will eventually be a map showcasing where you can go all through Somerset.
Oh, that'd be good.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
It's a fabulous. I'm going to see a lovely lady next week who house was used in the 1920s for seances by a famous archaeologist who was a member of the Psychical Research of America. He was the education, but he was thrown out of the archaeological dig at Glastonbury because he said he talked to the monks in a seance to find where to dig.
What's wrong with that?
I think that's amazing.
I do.
But
that's trouble with monks, they just won't bloody shut up.
Exactly. But it's also because of Somerset. So there's a lovely chap called Bobby Rammond who runs X Tours, and he does fantastic ghost walks in Taunton, Glastonbury, Bridgewater.
Oh, lovely.
They started from nothing. He has a degree in history, talks like me, very intelligent man. And I believe in gathering all these people and then all of us getting together so we can help the county, help each other, but also get the tourism in so the businesses get much needed funds, regardless of what the business is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's good. It's only a positive thing, isn't it?
Do you know what I think they should do? Get a field, get a farmer to give up a field once a year for the tourists, and let's burn the Wicker Man and get the tourists in with a bit of cider and watch it go up.
Can I put my mother in there?
And have someone talking about what the Wicker Man was and why they did that. That would be interesting. Mind you, it might ignite paranormal happenings in and around the place if you did that.
We could make one and fill it with politicians, couldn't we?
Yeah. When you think about our old customs, so my mother, who's 96 and in German-speaking Czech, when she was born, there's a festival. They still celebrate it in, I think, Czechoslovakia and Germany. I think it's in April, where, because she was brought up on a farm, her grandmother made them sweep all the courtyard because there was a special night. If it wasn't clean, the witches would come in and land and curse you. So that old. My grandmother didn't believe it, but to keep her quiet, they swept the courtyard of this farm. What a brilliant tradition.
I think it's
Yeah.
And these
amazing.
old
Yeah.
customs, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
love
that's-
these
it's true.
traditions.
Europe has got so many amazing traditions and you know, different folk tales and stuff. It's just they all need to be kept alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I was blowing kisses to Ryan Griffiths then.
Oh my
Oh, you're right. How you
God.
doing, well, brother, buddy?
I spoke to him the other day. I'm hoping that he will be coming down to the Paracon at Bodmin. Joe's, just in case Joe's on holiday, he's organising this wonderful Paracon with some fabulous speakers, the first big one in Cornwall. And
Oh,
because I interfere, I've been saying, have you thought of this one? Have you thought of that one?
It's not interfering, it's helping.
Yeah.
Which is
Great
very
Aunt Maud.
important.
Yeah.
Helping
Very
hands. They make
Yeah.
they make light work, don't they? Lots of hands, helping hands make light
Exactly,
work.
exactly.
They say.
Exactly.
So now I'm excited for what you're going to be doing next, Karin, because I know that nothing's going to hold you down. You don't sit still for long. Can I just talk about? You're going to tell me off now. Don't get them out on camera because I'm. But you're a collector of some strange stuff.
Yes.
Oh yes.
So,
Yeah.
so I've actually just paid for some old Victorian pennies today from an auction site. So if my husband sees where I hide everything, he won't be happy. He has no idea what's underneath this table. But yeah, so some people believe that items contain paranormal spirits, things like that. So when we had COVID hit, being a woman, I thought, well, we can't go anywhere. I usually spend over £1,500 on fuel. I'll buy a couple of skulls instead.
She's just going to buy a couple of skulls.
Because technically I'm saving money.
What? Do you go, oh, diesel's up by tuppence. Get the magazine out with the skulls in it.
So, unlike what some people think, if a skull's over or a piece of bone is over
Exactly,
a certain age, you are allowed. I have all the paperwork.
Yeah.
You know, I have the trail. They're not dug up from a graveyard. They were very expensive. And I also have a human foot. So if you want to see it,
That's
this
amazing.
is fascinating.
That's amazing, that is.
She's got a foot. She's got a spare one, just in case.
Just in amazing.
Case.
So my first one was a medical skull from late Victorian, early Edwardian times. And I know the background, I know the history from it.
They're really cool.
So I've done my bit. I don't believe they're haunted, personally. I've never had anything happen to say it was. But it's interesting when you're with investigators, if you put them in a room blindfolded and they know there's skulls on the table, it affects the way they react with their environment.
Yes, it does.
You know, and it's very interesting. But this is absolutely amazing. It came from a Victorian skeleton, a medical skeleton, because it's got all the wires in there. And when they brought in the Poor Act, you know, it stopped all the body snatching. So if you were in the workhouse, you had no relatives, you know, sometimes your body would be, you know, given to science. But to show how many bones you have in a foot and how slender the foot is, I'm not sure if it's male or female, but with my other skulls as well, I want to have them, the DNA done to see where they're from and to get the story with them.
Yeah.
You know, it's brilliant. The other one of the skulls I have, we had a wonderful anthropologist from Hampshire Ghost Club come to the Jamacia Inn, and she had a look and she said it could be a couple of 100 years old. It could be 7,000 years old.
Wow.
It was from a private collector in an auction.
Yeah.
And she said it's a man, probably an elderly man, probably 60s, with feminine features. She said, but interestingly, there's no sign of disease, which is very rare.
Yeah.
So that's going to make a test case. But my proudest one is the skull of the Jamacia Inn that was in the museum for 30 years. I was kindly given that as a present. And
Oh,
I call him Eric, and I'm just tapping him down there. And, you know, again, I'm very respectful, regardless what some may say. You have to be, they are human remains, but also they are very treasured and respected.
yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I will get a skull one day. Will you get one, Dan?
Oh, without doubt. Without a doubt.
Do you know what I did,
Even
Karen?
if I've got to go and dig something up.
Do you know what
Okay.
I did, Karen? This will make you laugh. I've got I saw a bone in a market for sale, and it came from Peru, and this bone is bovine, but they made it into a flute, and it's very lovely decorated. But it was freshly made, so you still had that marrow kind of smell around.
Yeah.
Oh, I said to Dan, look at this one I bought. And
funniest thing.
He said, can you play it? And I went to play it, and I got that smell, and I was just heaving. I had to put it down. So I'll give that a miss.
I thought she was going to get sick. I thought it was the funniest thing I think I've seen.
Oh, but it was just something different to see if, you know, it would entice anything. I could take it on investigations. But in the end, I put it down. I think until that smell goes away, it's not going anywhere.
It's a pretty cool item, to be fair.
You know, I can't move in this room. I have imitation blunderbusses.
Ooh.
Bedpans. Everything you can think of. I've lots of old books. One that's Georgian rhymes.
Wow.
And I love saying them if I'm in a particular place, like the Jamacia Inn, because our old language, they were so good at doing rhymes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And some of them were quite cheeky, naughty.
Yeah.
With double meanings, you know, and, you know, to read this old language out, you know, and something that would have been familiar with someone from that time period. Same as nursery rhymes. There's a wonderful site will tell you where these nursery rhymes came from, if they're local to a certain. It is.
It's amazing.
It's
phenomenal. It's amazing. Yeah. It really is.
Would you could open up your own museum with some of your collection that you've got there? Is it something that you would consider in the future, to open up your own museum and get dressed up in the, you know, the era of the day?
I don't know, because probably the people would enter and never leave because I wouldn't stop talking.
That's what they come for, to see you.
Oh, but yeah, I mean, I've got a Victorian sea captain's eyeglass. There's lots, but the funniest thing, and I've told you before, Vivian, my husband works at a massive MOD site near Oxford, so the security is really strict, and I keep a lot of things in the boot of my car.
Oh.
So one day he said, I've got to take your car in. Don't leave anything. And I ignored him because I'm his wife and I ignore everything he says to me. So he came home that night. He wasn't happy. He said, I nearly disappeared. I said, well, why? He said, when they go out, they open up the bonnet, the boot, everything. Even though they know them, you know, they have their own bomb squad, police force, everything. Yeah. He said they opened up the boot. They saw a hangman's noose, duct tape, a giant Ouija board and tripods. He said, and I looked at them. He said, just look her name up. She's weird. So every time he borrows the car, I stick the hangman's noose under the passenger seat.
Is it from hangman's noose you've got?
I got an authentic one. It was done for me. It's from Fresh Rope, obviously, but it's an authentic late Victorian in style.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. why it would be beautiful, but it is. You know.
They are. They're pretty cool, though, aren't they? Really.
Well,
cool.
yeah.
The way they knot them and string them, there's an art to it, isn't there? You can't
I mean,
just...
the Victorian ones were just a slip knot, weren't they? And it wasn't none of this curl thing. That was all Wild West, wasn't it? But our one was just a slip knot with a bit.
But that came in. That came in the later times of Victorian. The old hangings were a thin piece of rope because we're going to revive a documentary with Dr. Kate Sherrill, who I first met when we interviewed her for it. And there was a hanging in Bristol in 1821 of a young lad called Thomas Harwood. And when they hung people, they hung them publicly on the tower of the gates of the prison. But they would take 15 minutes to suffocate.
Yeah.
And then they would sell pieces of the rope. So the surgeon who took him, the cabinet in Kingswood Museum near Bristol, still has the piece of rope that was around his neck.
Wow.
A section of it.
Oh.
Well, people used to buy it for toothache and stuff, didn't they? And for sores and that.
Yeah. And this lad was he didn't murder this woman. We've got the proof from a professor, and hopefully we would like to do a pardon if it can come about, because Mary Hallowell, who buried this poor skeleton, she was related to him, exactly 170 years from the time the rope dropped. They buried him in the same grave as his father. And the undertaker did it for nothing.
Aww.
And she said to me before she died, she said, I've got him buried, get him his pardon. So, of course, we had COVID. It's sort of halted. So hopefully we're going to revive it. Kate's going to be the presenter of it. But to get this story out, that an 18-year-old lad threw a stone in the dark, 30th of January. It hit the lady on the head, but it didn't kill her. It was the doctor, Dr. John Smith, with his trepanning. Imagine having trepanning, a hole in your head without anaesthetic.
Ooh.
Well, that was the other one, wasn't it, Bodmin, with the young girl? I think she was about 13, wasn't she? She was hanged for burning a haystack or something, wasn't she?
Oh, you also, Richard Felix said that over 200 offences you could be hung for when they brought in the 1752 murder.
Ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ridiculous. And it was like some of them were just completely innocuous things, weren't they?
Stealing a loaf of bread.
Yeah.
I went to an executions exhibition in London late last year, and they listed all of the offences, what you could be hanged for in the town of London, and it was absolutely ridiculous, some of the things that they had listed, even for saying the wrong thing to the wrong person or talking to the wrong person, you could be hung for. It was ridiculous. But thank God times have changed and we've moved on a little bit from
But
there.
also the working class couldn't get any help. So this Dr. Smith was a grave robber. He dug up bodies and used them. He got away. He got caught and he got slapped on the wrist by the magistrate because he knew the magistrate.
Wow.
Oh, there's so much to tell when it comes out.
It's amazing what a few quid can do for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Social standing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like Monday I'm filming in this amazing castle in Somerset. And it is haunted, and we're doing some experiments, and hopefully it's all part of this pilot episode for Visit Somerset, and it's just so exciting.
That'd be good.
Oh, I'm excited for you.
Good luck.
Somerset.
Good luck with all that. Sounds really
But
good.
I like I've been behind the scenes. I love putting it all together and helping or interfering.
Yeah.
But Monday, the idiot's going to put me in front of the camera.
Good.
Extra wide vision.
We want to see you. We want to see you.
But, you know, the kindness of people and also helping if you help each other, wonderful things come your way.
Yeah, of course.
Rather than being nasty to each other.
I think people are generally pretty good, aren't they? People are generally
on
pretty
the whole.
good. Yeah, on the whole, they're decent.
You get bad apples, you know, but you know, the paranormal community, I think we should be so proud because there are some wonderful people that have become dear friends to us all.
Yeah,
Well, talking of
definitely.
bad apples, when Dan and I come to Somerset and when we go to Jamaica Inn, not to investigate, but to have a few drinks and to get drunk, Karin, we want you there. Are you in?
I don't drink. I'll sit there and observe you.
Oh, we'll have to have this cloudy cider that everyone raves about. What they call it, scrumpy.
Yeah,
Scrumpy
yeah,
cider.
yeah.
Oh, don't. I was in Lou a few years ago.
Rattler?
Guy said to me in Lou a few years ago, I went into a pub in Lou, little old pub, little Cornishman's sort of fisherman's pub. And there was only a couple of people in there, and I said, "I'll have a pint of cider, please." He went, "Do you want cider?" He went, "Oh, do you want the men's cider?"
Yeah.
So I said,
Yeah.
"Give me the men's cider." Right? I was with my brother who passed away recently, and so I sat down. He pulled his pint out. Well, this thing there was bits of fruit in it. You could taste there was like lumps of fruit in it. So I'm drinking it, and I thought, oh, "That's right, it's really nice." No word of a lie. And I used to like a drink then. I could drink then.
Yeah.
I had about a quarter of a pint. I got up and I couldn't feel my legs. I was pissed. And it was like, what's going on here? And he was laughing.
They used to put, was it dead rats in the barrel, didn't they? Years ago.
Did they? I don't know. Did they?
For the cloudy cider, yeah. I think it was rats or something
It
else.
wouldn't
Yeah,
surprise
it was.
me. No wonder they were tough men back then, weren't they?
Oh,
Tough
God.
men.
Yes.
Oh, dear. I just want the T-shirt. I got drunk at the Jamaica Inn.
Oh, Wendy's got a question. Sorry. Can I just ask, do any of you use dowsing rods? I'm hopefully going back to Pendle Hill and thinking of taking mine. I don't personally, Wendy, but I don't know if the others do.
I do.
I do.
I've got mine up there somewhere on the shelf.
Got mine buried somewhere.
Mine always tells me I'm fat, so it's broken.
Yeah. Yeah. When they do that, it's time to put them away. They just need cleansing, sorting out, leaving out in the moonlight. You know,
They're broken.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Oh.
There you go.
Well, it's been lovely having you, Karin.
Yeah, thank you, Karin.
We need to get you back on later on and see what you've been up
Thank
to.
you.
Thanks, Wendy. Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
We class you as a friend,
Yes.
not a guest.
You.
You are a guest, but you're more our friends. So
Yeah.
we need to talk more about this history stuff. I mean, we can go on and on and on and on and on.
Definitely.
But we're running out of time. So
Excuse me.
we are going to get you back on.
Thank you.
And you
It's
can
very
talk about
kind.
whatever you like.
Exactly.
My lack of dieting.
Oh, before you go, I've got one question. And it's
Yeah.
a silly out there question. I want to know your thoughts about these crazy people out there that marry ghost pirates.
Oh,
God.
yeah.
I think they need to go and see the doctor personally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would raise my eyebrows, but the Botox won't let me.
Good answer. And on that night, we're going to leave you with laughter and much love. And thank you very much, Karin. Thank you to everyone that's joined us in the chat.
Thank
We
you
do
all.
appreciate you.
Yes, thank you.
We will be back next week, but join us on Tuesday when we are talking about para-unity. And does it really exist on the Things Network? Get ready for an argument.
Yeah,
That's what I say.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Take care, everyone. And thank you for joining in. I can't end the stream.